Hello again, everyone. This is Mike, the lead designer and developer of Melee Masters, and today I've got another development vlog for you. And as per usual, we'll touch on the general status of the game. But the two main topics I'd like to talk about are mechanics changes and character design. So, just a little quick status update on the game for those of you that have played the demo, and for those of you that haven't. I have ended the demo period. If you try to launch it, it'll put you to the screen where you can't. This is mainly just because as I make these visual improvements and character redesigns, the state of the demo becomes a lot different than the state of the actual game, and I don't want the state of the actual game to be, or I want the state of the actual game to be indicative of what the game is at the moment. If someone, turns up on the game and they, play the demo, they're a few weeks behind on everything, so instead of just putting out new versions saying download this, and that would be like every 2-3 days, as some of these improvements are pretty drastic, and I really want people to incorporate them. It's a bit asking too much just to say download a new version every day, and that's because with no built-in patcher, you manually have to go do these things, and a lot of people don't want to do that, and I don't blame them for that. So one of the major bugs I fixed recently was DI, and so DI was broken. If you were on the ground, it would cap you to your running speed. If you were mid-run and you get hit, what would happen before is the physics wouldn't think you're stunned yet, so it would think you're still running, so it would cap your horizontal velocity. And so even though you got hit, it would still cap that horizontal velocity to a large fraction of what it was. So that made DI kind of broken, or very broken. There's also a lot of VFX improvements. So now when you hit shields, it won't play the normal, in some cases, overwhelming visual effects when you land a hit. So this will make it very clear that the hit should have been shielded. And, that's very important for clarity of the game. So you gotta think, oh, well, this looks like it should have hit, or how did that possibly hit? And so with, smaller visual effects, at least when hitting shield, it should give you that visual feedback of, oh, this makes sense that this was shielded. So onto mechanics changes, since these do incorporate status of the game, but it's a much bigger topic. So the long and short of it is, I removed power shielding and I removed spot dodge and I added a parry. So let's dive into sort of what that entails. So the general idea here is risk reward. So originally I wanted to make power shielding better. Generally, or at least in Melee, I felt like power shielding people could only really tell you power shielded versus a projectile, or sometimes an attack with high lag, but most of the time you see shield punishes, it's just a normal shield and that move is negative on shield, so the other person counters. It was mainly for reflex, they power shielded that Falco laser. And so I really wanted more reward for landing a power shield, but the problem is there wasn't enough risk. So if you mistime a power shield too early, you just shield. And then, again, like I said before, with some moves being negative on shield. When I say negative on shield, that means the attacker has more lag than the defender has shield hit stun. So the defender will have the advantage after, the conclusion of the attack. And so, for moves that are just negative on shield, there was really no risk of going for, a power shield, other than timing it too late. And so that, I didn't really like that much, because I wanted there to be, some reward for doing this really well-timed defense mechanism. So, if you're within 4 or 5 frames of the attack hitting you, you press that button, that you should be rewarded for that, because it's in a game this fast with all the movement, characters flying around, and the attacks being new, as far as all the attacks you haven't seen before, or you don't know when they become active. At least early on, this will really differentiate the skill gap in players. And so parry is here to replace spot dodge and power shield. And so a general concept we have to talk about here is multi-hit versus single hit. So before, shielding was used against multi-hit moves. So think Peach down smash or Pikachu down smash in Melee. I'm using the Melee equivalents because it's easier for the people that haven't played my game or you haven't seen, or you don't know all the attacks that all the characters have like I do. So Peach down smash, Pikachu down smash. When these are multi-hit moves. So if you spot dodge, you're gonna get hit by one of the hits at the end. That's sort of the trade-off of you're meant to spot dodge large single hits and you're meant to shield multi-hits. But the problem was, again, now instead of reward being high, the reward's too low. So if you land a spot dodge, most moves between the end of their active frames and the end lag is less than the 24. I check my camera a little bit. Less than the 24 frames of spot dodge that there is. So in Melee, I believe it's 24 frames. So say someone comes down with a forward air and you spot dodge it. Now, with the L cancel frames, a lot of them are like between 5 and 15 frames of L cancel lag. And, some even less than that. Or if it's like a move that auto cancels, so the 4 frames of landing lag. The spot dodger got no reward for dodging that attack, other than they didn't take shield damage. Now, you could say that's a reward in itself, not taking shield damage, but in fact they leave themselves more vulnerable because after the spot dodge, they still have that cooldown before they can attack again, 24 frames. So that might, in some cases, even give the attacker an advantage. And that's not a good thing, at least for a defensive mechanic, in my opinion. So that's sort of why I'm doing this, is that power shielding, I wanted it to be more reward, and spot dodge wasn't enough reward, so sort of merging the two and simplifying things down, you now have this one mechanic of parrying. So the exact mechanics of how parrying works are you shield, and then when you think an attack is about to land, you press the attack button, or the default attack button on a GameCube controller. That would be A. I was going to put on B, but I got an A better. So it replaces what used to be shield grabs. You could still shield grab with shield and plus the grab button, but this is just because it's meant to sort of be conveyed as a counter attack, so it'll be shield attack. Just think about that in your head when you want to think about the input for it. And so how it's going to work is, say a move will have base 40 frames of hits done. And for reference, we'll use Andor's forward air, for example, because that's a very long windup, pretty easy to anticipate. And so in this game, in all Smash games, there's hit pause, which is when you hit, your character will pause for a certain amount of frames. This is very obvious in moves like Captain Falcon's knee in like Smash 4 or Brawl, where like it freezes for a good like 20 frames. So the way parrying's going to work is based on the strength of the move hitting you, that's how long it'll pause for. So this sort of continues the trend of multi-hits should beat spot dodge, well, multi-hits should beat parry. Because it's not just going to freeze them in a multi-hit, because that would be too strong. So now, to balance that, multi-hits have low base hit stun. So, say 40 frames would normally freeze the attacking character for, say, 18. Multi-hits, the base hit stun on the early hits is like 15 or something. So this will freeze them for maybe 6 frames. So it's a very short reaction window. So there is the possibility that you could parry every hit of a multi-hit, which would take insane timing, but it sort of gives that potential for like a really hype moment. Like say a character's at a very high percentage and they just parry every hit of a multi-hit move and then counterattack and win, It'll be like the Daigo versus Justin Wong Street Fighter. Actually, I don't know the exact Street Fighter it was, but that's probably the most like classic hype moment in video games because there is that defensive potential of he had to perfect block all the hits of it and then get his counterattack. So if you can, it gives that potential for really hype moments, but it also addresses these concerns of, risk versus reward. And so parry's only going to have like 5 or 6 active frames, and then afterwards you're, unlike spot dodge, you're vulnerable. So for the remaining, I think it's 20 frames of the move, you can get hit. And I don't know if I'm going to give you like additional hit stun or knockback for missing it. It depends on how strong the actual parry ends up being. This requires a bit of playtesting. But there will be, that's an easy way for me to offset the risk of you missed a parry, you're going to take more damage or more hit stun. And that's just, small number tweaking. But that requires playtesting and, just feeling it out if, one aspect of it is too strong. And so this fixes, I think, in my problem, the risk-reward issue that I sort of introduced with my idea of power shielding. But it introduces another one of, again, what if parrying is too strong? So I read a lot on balance philosophy on, defensive versus offensive mechanics. And so it generally boils down to if you give all the characters known good defensive options, you can give characters more wild offensive options because every character has a defense against it. So one other aspect I didn't really touch on here was since we removed spot dodge, shield dropping is now a lot simpler. I use the word simpler instead of easier because there's no longer that spot dodge threshold of when you go like this or you go like that for a shield drop or a spot dodge. There's no clunkiness to it. If you hold shield on a platform and you press down now, you'll drop through it the way you would normally drop through a shield, or normally drop through a platform if you just held down. And so I think that simplifies it, at least mechanically, from being on a platform, what's going to happen when I hit diagonal down? Now you'll know. And so, okay, so this made shield dropping simpler. So you know now if someone's on a platform in their shields and say you're approaching from below, you know that they have the potential to like shield drop back air or shield drop down air or something. So now what this allows me to do is design more offensive moves that hit like at that upwards diagonal angle. So previously not a lot of moves actually hit at that angle. Like some up airs do, but not a lot really threaten that diagonal space where you're underneath them on the platform, they're up here. And that was mainly because being on a platform, shielding should be a sort of disadvantage. But now that it's stronger because shield dropping's easier, we now need better offensive tools to deal with this new defensive option. So this really allows me to explore the design space of offensive moves more and really venture out into some crazy, crazy offensive moves that really haven't been seen in Smash games before. So I've got some ideas. I can't really show any of them off yet because a lot of them go on new characters or remove old characters' moves. So, but definitely look forward to those when they come out, and that should be around 2-3 weeks. I'll have some updated gameplay with these new mechanics, but for now I will show you off just how this looks. I've been playing some clips in between of how the pairing does look. So this is a bit long-winded, but kind of had to be because that's a pretty deep mechanic. So I will touch on character design, but not nearly as much because character design, there's a lot of, people, have a profession that, their profession is designing characters. And for me to try to explain it to you simply, they'll do it a lot more justice. So if you want to look up just the stuff on what goes into making a good character, go for it. But the basics really boil down to, just color and outfit design, the silhouette of the character, how they look. Well, I'm wearing a black shirt, so it's actually pretty convenient. So, if I was standing far back against the white wall and I had no face, it was just completely black and everything, would you be able to tell that that character is me? So that's something that is very critical for almost all characters. They need a good silhouette. They need to be identifiable at a distance. And so these are all aspects of character design that I'm aware of, but I maybe haven't implemented into my characters, and that's just mainly because people, again, as I said, they dedicate their whole profession to this, and I'm not, denigrating it. It is a very hard thing to do. So for me, as a programmer, slash animator slash kind of modeler, I'm aware of these things, but putting them into practice is actually very difficult. And so I'm working with a really good character designer now who, has this knowledge and has these skills to put these into practice. So look for that in the next coming weeks. You'll see, just posts cropping up with new characters, one new character, and then redesigns of old characters. The old character redesigns will change, but not drastically. So, like, for example, Nyx is someone who's getting a new model. However, she's still going to be a spear-holding, female. And her playstyle is not going to change. But visually, she's going to flow a lot better with the environment and, just have a lot more to her design than just some girl with a spear, basically. Even though that's not how I think of her, if you want to, sort of generalize the characters, that's, how you would describe her. One of the important aspects of these designs, though, is I'd like to do, like a whole new style of all the characters. However, since I don't have the resources to refund redoing everyone, all the new styles sort of have to flow from the old styles. So this means that while there will be new character designs, new aspects to these characters, they still will have this underlying thread to relate them to the existing characters. Otherwise, it would seem very weird of this jumbled mess of these old characters and new characters that don't really fit together in any way, and it wouldn't really feel very cohesive. So I'm doing a lot with the designs to, one, keep them, fresh, new, interesting, fill all these philosophies of good character design, and keep them interesting, but they do need some aspects that keep them tied to the general theme I've created for the game already. And in the future, after crowdfunding with enough support, I can, I'll have the resources to dedicate to maybe doing a complete overhaul of everyone, but for the time being, it'll only be some characters, but I'd like to merge them in such a way that they're new and interesting, but they still fit the style that I've created, at least for now. And then as time goes on, as I get more resources, these will be improved upon. So, a brief timeline, just to wrap things up, because this has gone on for a while, is in 4 to 5 weeks, I'll be launching the Kickstarter for the game. Or I don't actually know if I'm using Kickstarter, just some form of crowdfunding. And in the meantime, I'm sure you guys all know my goals for that, as I've said multiple times. It's mainly just to hire animators, hire artists to, help work on everything. But in the meantime, we'll be working hard on character design. I'll get the concept out to you guys, just to gauge your feedback as I get those. And I don't know when I'll be able to show gameplay with those, because if the new designs require in animation, it's called a rig. That means a lot of the animations have to be redone or transferred, which takes a lot of time. So hopefully not all of them, and hopefully I'll be able to get some gameplay out to you showing off these new characters or the new designs in the near future. So 2-3 weeks for that. Also, I'll try to write a driver for the official Wii U adapter. Currently, you have to use a program called GCN and VJoy, which is its own driver, because I don't actually know what the abbreviation stands for, but HID is like a common I think it's hardware identifier, actually. But Unity uses it, and it uses that to basically figure out what controller is plugged in and then handle all the specific stuff it needs to do for that controller. And the Wii U adapter, the official one, not the Mayflash, doesn't broadcast an HID identifier or whatever it is that it stands for. So the only solution to supporting the Wii U adapter officially would be for me to write my own driver. So when you play the game, it's going to install a driver on your computer, which I don't really like. So I'd encourage everyone to use the Mayflash adapter. It's actually pretty cheap. It was only like $50 or something. But that is infinitely easier for me to support, and the controls work much better for that, at least in my game, than the official Wii U adapter. And so I did add, there is the controller customization in the game that allows you to tailor things for that adapter. But the long and short of it is, there's no way for me to, with no external sources, like just the game, support the Wii U adapter. So I'll look into writing a driver for it, but again, this will mean the game installs a driver on your computer. And if that's something people want to live with, that's, I can accept that if it makes playing the game easier for you. It also be improving the AI of the game. Currently, it's a bit rudimentary. I had some ideas for machine learning algorithms that would go into training the AI and stuff, and that is something the preliminary work's all there for, but due to, setbacks and having to work on all the animations and everything else that needs to be done, I haven't had the time to focus on what I'd like to do for that. So that'll be coming. Definitely, I have some really cool ideas for machine learning approaches where they'll, learn your tactics and try to fight against you. Some more gameplay videos. I know I've been lacking on that. The main issue is having people to play against. I have some friends to play against, but I really want to get like high level gameplay of so you can really see the intricacies and the mechanics of the game, rather than just some people hitting each other, occasionally SDing, and kind of just jumping past each other in the neutral because they don't understand the mechanics as much. So yeah, all that and a lot more to come in the future. I don't know if I'll make a video on Icons. Icons, if you don't know, is Wave-Dash's games sort of successor to Project M, because I believe some of the developers from Project M are working on it. And, they released gameplay recently, and, a lot of people have been talking about the pros and cons and sort of weighing it against my game. I'll leave it up to you to decide. I think they're going their own way with mechanics and designs, and I'm going my own way. So if you find what I'm doing, more enticing, or if you find what they're doing more enticing, I encourage you to explore both options and weigh which ones you prefer. But as always, thank you for watching. I'd like to have a gameplay video, at least, if not this week, definitely up by next week, just to show off the Umbri remodel and some of the mechanics changes. So I did show off the parry system in this video. There's also some cool VFX that I've been working on. There's this cool slowdown effect that I added. So if you've ever seen Tekken 7, a lot of combo ending moves or like heavy hits has this like zoom in slowdown on it, and so I've added an aspect to that for kills that are moves that are guaranteed kills, and just certain moves have this property. And so I'd like to show what that looks like as well in a more official sense, rather than just tagging it on at the end of this video. So definitely look forward to that. And as always, thank you for watching and supporting the game, and make sure to subscribe to the YouTube, the newsletter, and the Twitter if you want more constant updates. And I look forward to showing you designs in the future. Thank you for watching.